Hello, and welcome to the 60 for 30 project. My name is Xander Miller with Kenosha Public Library, and I'm sitting here with Zaire Daniels. Zaire, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well today. We're getting to the end of my day. Y'all don't know that, but we're getting to the end of the day for this one. So, man, all right. So, what area of Kenosha are you from, or what neighborhood you grew up in?
See, this one's a little tricky. First off, I lived on the north side, so like I was living by where the Wilson School is, so that area generally. I lived with my grandma. She took me and my little sister in. My mom had us at a young age. She was 16. My father was 16 as well. So my grandma had a house over in the Wilson area. I'm not familiar with that street. I try not to think about it because my grandma's no longer with me, and this is my mom's mother, and she passed in '99, and I was only I say 7 years old. So I only got to know her for the first 7 years of my life, and I didn't really get to know my grandma, because when you're a kid, it's little blurs and things like that. But I do remember her living at Wilson and taking me to school. Okay. So I lived in that area first, if and foremost. But my great grandma lived over in the Lincoln area, the heart of Lincoln. So she lived right around the corner from Lincoln Middle.
Okay.
So I would sometimes go over at my great grandma's house, and then sometimes I'll be at my grandma's, whoever can watch us. But generally, that area by Wilson is where I got brought up.
Yeah. So where are you now?
Where am I now?
Yeah.
I'm in Kenosha. I'm more of the south side, so over this area by Tremper a little bit, so, I say a little kitty corner from the job center in that area. So that's where I'm at now.
All right. So how have you experienced Kenosha's culture, or what is Kenosha's culture to you?
What is Kenosha's culture to me? Well, you know what? As a kid, I didn't understand racism or anything like that, because I feel like in Kenosha coming up, I didn't experience that.
Okay.
Everybody got along. It was always a mixture. There was always different races, different, walks of life from, down the block. There were some people that wasn't even originally from here, and they moved out here. So I feel like Kenosha, it's just been friendly from what I know. Because I've traveled other places. I've held doors open for people in other places there for saying thank you, or, and this was in different spots. But here, you hold the door open, hey, you walk down the street, hello. It's always been that way. That to me, that's the culture of Kenosha. Just looking out for each other. That's always been around. I remember when I didn't have enough to pay for food or something when I was a kid or something, and somebody would pay for. I even know this person from Adam, and they'll help pay. Growing up, that's how used to be in Kenosha. It might have changed a little bit because a lot of people moved out of here, and then the different people moved in here that don't understand the culture. But to me, that's what I see Kenosha as being the friendly, not racist at all. Because when the Jacob Blake thing happened, that never has happened here. But they went on to say something about the Michael Bell thing that we didn't know about either. And that kind of shook me too, because I'm like, man, Kenosha, y'all don't play like that. Y'all really get down to, y'all do your jobs. This, especially the police here, so yeah, it's changing, but you could still see that in Kenosha. You can see the spirit of that in Kenosha. We do try, I do see Kenosha trying to change things and keep it the way it always has been. And to be honest, I feel because they say it used to be one of the safest cities here. It's not anymore in that category, but it still kind of is, because there's places where you can't go outside for a second, you know. So, yeah, I think that answers your question. Like, I just feel like Kenosha has always been like a good place to be, and good place to raise children. Yeah, I had a good time here growing up. You know, yeah, there's always been problems, but you know, I got through them. I'm still here, so.
So, Kenosha seems to have had a sense of togetherness with the people here, friendliness,
Yes.
helping out.
Yes, like a real community, like, you know, like that saying, it takes a village. And I think Kenosha holds that to the heart. Like, we do help each other out when we see each other in need, you know, and I've seen that from time to time again. And, you know, even Brandon Morris could tell you that, anybody could tell you that, and he's actually one of the advocates that's been helping kids out here. And like just little programs, we had after school programs. We had just so much going on when I was growing up, and I felt like, man, like without that, like I don't know, like Wilson School, like just going to that school alone, I learned a lot. I learned how to read. I learned how to write. I wasn't so good at math, but I learned math. I learned how to play the piano. I learned how to play, my sisters, they learned how to play violin. You know, you got to choose what you wanted to do and try out. And they always had those programs. They always had those like activities at Wilson School. I can't speak for any other schools. I'm sure they did because, you know, Kenosha as a whole always has different programs for different schools. Yeah. But what I also like about Kenosha is not just about like the kids that, like everyday kids. It's also for kids that aren't able to enjoy certain things that regular kids don't, like kids with disability. And, you know, I have a cousin that he's deaf in one ear, and Kenosha has so many programs for him to go to and learn, and they were actually teaching him, you know, how to speak right and, you know, how to, you know, use his one ear and you know, use everything to his advantage that they were offering him in those programs. So I think that too is, you know, a good catalyst for how Kenosha, you know, does what it does. Like, I feel like Kenosha is like just one of those places where they think of everything. They just think of everything and they capitalize off of it. So
yeah, so there's been a lot of adaptations to help people, you know, kind of level out, you'd say.
Yes.
But you'd also mentioned that, you know, you're surprised with Jacob Blake's shooting and such. How did those events shift, if at all, your view of Kenosha?
Well, see, I think I try. I don't want to call it devil's advocate, but I try to look at both sides. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that our police department has not trained for because, there's a lot of things that hasn't really happened here. Yeah, there's been, you know, car speed chases and things like that, and I'm sure they had to, you know, take out a couple people before, and like, oh wow, shocking, you know. This was shocking because this is something that has been going on for years, you know, and more prevalent than, you know, than I ever seen growing up in Kenosha. Because yeah, I've seen a lot of injustice things happen before, but not to this extent. So I was shocked, and then even the outcome is just shocking too, because I know as people we do have to hold accountable for our actions, and I understand that, you know, but what we're talking about here is race too, you know, because that's, you know, people like to say, oh, it's not about that. It is about that, you know. I don't like to talk about it a lot, but we have to talk about it, because if we don't, then it's just going to be put on the rug like it's been for all these years. And I do understand, like, everything is connected, from the music we listen to, from the things we watch on TV, from maybe even the video games we play. Who knows? But I also know that, you know, like I said before, we gotta hold accountable for a lot of things, because, like, not everything is like as clear as we think it is. So I say that to say, we have to start at home. We have to start respecting each other as a race. That's where it starts. Me and my cousin had this conversation, and basically it was just about, he wanted to know my thoughts too when this first happened, and I said, look, we have to start respecting each other, because some of these cops see it that way. They see it that we don't respect each other. And I'm not saying this is all cops, but I'm saying some of them see us in a certain way. You know, they might see us as the gangster or whatever. And I told this to my cousin, just think about it. You can dress like that guy off TV, but you don't live like, or he probably doesn't even live like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so now it's a big confusion. Our appearance is very important. You know, you can dress how you want to dress, but just remember how people are going to look at you. And it's sad to say it, but that is true. We don't have the silhouette of a black man now. If you see it now, it's, you know, it's on TV, and we have different ones now, but the main one that pops out are the rappers. You know, because the kids are young, and those kids are young that are rapping too. They're young as well. They're not grown men wearing business suits and trying to speak real knowledge. They're trying to speak, you know, death and all this other stuff. So I think we need to start there first. We just need to start changing our culture and start transforming ourselves and start respecting each other, you know. And then I think that goes a long way, because right now we're beating a dead horse. We've been saying the things we wanted to change for years, and we haven't seen it, because it starts with us. You know, we have to do this ourselves. We have to come together and realize this is what we need to do. We need to transform the way that people look at us, and not just, you know, white people, all people. You know, it can't just be, oh, okay, just because he dressed like this, he must live in the hood, or he must, you know, maybe he likes looking like that. Maybe he likes dressing like that. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people don't see it that way. They look at things black and white, you know. So, yeah, it's just, I was shocked by it. And just Kenosha in general, just shocked by it, because I didn't expect that outcome to happen. And I just think the procedures were just not, I'm not used to seeing that type of procedure, you know, and I haven't seen it on with any other race either, you know, to be honest, here in Kenosha, never. Like I said, the Michael Bell thing, we never knew about it, but it got brought back up because, you know, the family members, man, they like, what about, you know, what y'all did to him? And I feel for them. I feel for them too. We need to bring out everything that's been covered up, and we need to talk about this. We need to solve this. So on both ends, what I'm trying to say is we need to work, you know, as black people together and start respecting each other and start wanting this change, and not kill each other and not try to be better than everybody, and try to help each other out. And on the other end, the police need to work too, you know, and the government and everybody else that's involved, you know. I just think on both ends, we both need to work, you know. It's new. Some of this stuff is new to, like I said, to a lot of cops, because they never had to go through this, you know. Then they have to worry about hatred, and I don't hate all cops, you know. you don't know why they became a cop. So you can't judge a cop. You know, maybe they want to help people, you know. Maybe some is just there for the check. Maybe some there, you know, so everybody's got their different why they're there. Maybe they had to be a cop. Who knows? Maybe their dad was a cop. Who knows? But I know that I'm not going to hate all cops because of that. And we just got to stop the hatred, you know, just period.
Yeah.
You know, because just because you hate, if you hate a race and that particular race saves your life, and you still hate that person because of their color, that's just plain wrong. You know, that person saved your life, no matter what color they were. You know, they saved your life. You know, so that's why I could never be racist, because I see things differently, and I understand that we're going nowhere fast with hate. You know, we just need to heal. We haven't been healing much. Just been hate, hurt, damaging, and no repairs. So. We just need to work on our repairs, man, us as a people, and also getting other people to understand not exactly what we go through, because no one's going to know exactly, because they're not us, but just show. And I know some people do understand, and they're mad about it as well, that are not, you know, our color, but at the same time, we have to open eyes to everybody, because it can happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody. You know, it just so happens it started with us, but like the Michael Bell thing happened to him.
Yep.
So it can happen to anybody, and it can get covered up. Things can happen. Strange things can happen. So I don't like to make it a black and white thing, but that's what it's been for a while. But if you unveil it, you know, like we said with Michael Bell and things that's probably happened that other things we probably don't know about, not here, but maybe other places. Yeah, man, I just think it's time to discuss these things, and yeah, especially Kenosha, because Kenosha is just one of those places to me where I feel like they actually work on problems. If we have a problem here, we work on it. You know, if something wrong with the road, we fix it. You know, it's always been that way here. So hopefully we can figure this out together. Hopefully people can get this message too as well, because we all need to speak. We all need to say what's on our minds, and this is how I feel about the whole situation.
Yeah. You mentioned, you know, the silhouette of a black man that you see. What is it that you would like to see in that silhouette?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of silhouettes. I'm not just gonna say it's just the rap, but that's the one that shine the most, is the rapper. And like I said, the young kids are gravitating towards that. They don't want to gravitate towards, you know, other icons. Some want to play basketball. Some want to, but even the basketball players, they look up the rappers sometimes, and they have them as friends. And so, like, automatically a kid is gonna be like, well, I'm gonna have a friend that raps, and I'm gonna be a basketball player.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one or two things, you know, and then you got the drug dealer type, and that always coincide with rappers, you know, drug dealers, rappers, they always went hand in hand. And that look, you know, wearing jewelry and, you know, loose clothes or tight clothes or however the look is now. But what I would like to see, I'd just like to see more artists and more original, like just being original, like, for example, like Nipsey Hussle, he was on a roll of that, because he started in the gang life and things like that, but he was also building computers, and he was doing things I never thought, like when I was watching his documentary and stuff like that, his life, I'm like, man, this dude was like building computers at a young age and things like that, and he was trying to get to that with the kids, and he was actually trying to change his life so he can change other lives. And I know that, like, sometimes you do have to use certain things to get to children. So like Tupac, for example, people don't see it this way, but I see it this way. Like, he used the thug life thing to get to children.
Yeah.
You know, he just had to use, he had to become some type of character to get kids to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he couldn't be Martin Luther King. You know, only like, because some kids are going to be like, oh, that's old stuff. Where's the new, like, leaders? So I feel like what Tupac was doing, like, he was trying to put on his persona like he was a gangster or something like that, but he only did that so you can pay attention to what he was saying. Because there was a lot of subliminal messages in his music. And if you listen to it today, you're like, man, like, everything he's saying everything he was saying back then, it pertains to today, and like how I, like, you know, like just basically how like neighborhoods were and like how they still are. Like, you know, he's pretty much saying like how bad in poverty he was and how it's always gonna be if we don't get together, if we don't, you know, and it's always been proven that when black people got together and actually worked together, things work. So, you know, I would like to see more of that more than a silhouette of what we're supposed to be. I just want to see black people work together and respect each other and come up with ideas instead of just watching someone else, like the rapper or somebody else, and trying to be that when they're not really living that life. They're living in Beverly Hills. They're not in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's an illusion that we all got to pull away from. And I think it's changing because now you can make your own video games. Now you can make your own podcasts. Now you can. So times are changing because we're becoming the new Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You know, we get to control what goes on now, what we can post, what we can stream. So I think times are changing now. I think that the newer generation is gonna get it. Like, you don't have to be this guy on TV. Be whatever you want. Because that guy on TV is not gonna just be that either. You can't just be a rapper. You can't just be you gotta be whatever you feel what you wanna be. Whatever you, like, an entrepreneur or whatever it is, because sometimes people can't figure out who they are just based off one like thing or one subject. Like, sometimes it takes years like of just being around people and just doing different things to know what you're really, really good at.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, so yeah, if anything, I just want to see that. I just want to see more black people work together.
Yeah.
You know, and not just be on like in some illusionary world, like, oh, you have to do this to be this type of person. You have to, no, you can be who you want to be, you know, and you don't have to be this guy to make this much money. Mm-hmm. You know, you could be a programmer, you could be, you know, you could do a podcast, you could do whatever you set your mind to. So, yeah, I just want to see more of that, you know.
So, you know, it's almost like that silhouette shouldn't even exist. It's something else, being whatever that person wants to be, just, and also being in it together. It's not there's not a single image that should be there. It's kind of what you're saying.
Right, because if kids want to podcast, they watch you. They're like, man, I want to do that. See, that's just inspiration, you know, because they're like, man, you know, I thought we only had to do this. I thought we only had to play basketball and rap and sell drugs. And no, there's so much more you can do. You can be a comic book creator. You can be anything, man. And that's the thing, like, growing up in Kenosha, you were kind of put in a box sometimes because it was either your parents or something. They said, oh, you got to do something. And they'll either put you in a sport, or, you know, if you do like music, they'll buy your first guitar or first piano or whatever. And then you kind of like, I don't want to do that. And you see somebody on TV that's making more money doing this or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to do that, which is fine. But I feel like, you know, it shouldn't be a pattern. That shouldn't be the pattern. It should be something where we all can break out and think outside the box. And they like, look, man, I see these kids, man, they always need their chains put together. But let's just make a little, like, a bike repair thing for these kids in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You know, just things like that, just looking outside. And, man, a lot of kids' bikes are a little messed up. Man, I got bike parts in there. Maybe if I put it together, man, I can have a little mini shop over here, help the neighborhood out.
Yeah.
And then from that, you can make a bike company, or whatever.
It's like starting your own business. It's the seeds of a business right there.
Yeah, you just plant that seed. Yeah, like you said, seeds. So, yeah, man, it's just, you know, you just got to look at it at a certain perspective, because I think like when you're put in a box and you're put in front of a TV all the time, because that's another thing too. Like parents need to stop just putting their I need a break. No, just give them activities or something. Like you really want them to not mess with you no more, give them something challenging to do. And it doesn't always have to be TV, but if it is TV, make sure that kid wants to do something with TV. Like be a writer, or it has to be something that, like, if you're gonna put them on something like that, something has to come out of it. Because they said the first 7 years of your life is where you programmed your neuroplasticity as a kid. It's like, it's running. Yeah, it's like you gotta learn something. You have to learn something, because that's all you know. Like as a kid, like you're like, I need to learn new things. So like I think it's the household, man. It starts with that. You teach your kids as much as you can at home, and then you send them off to school. But when they come home, just make sure they know like house manners. They know you can be anything you want to be. Because I don't think a lot of parents don't tell their children that enough. They don't tell them like, look, you don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what they do on TV. You don't have to do what your cousin do or your brother do. You do what you want to do. And whatever excites you, because what always excited me was like writing, drawing, music. Just things like that, at a young age, and just like not realizing this is something I might want to do.
Yep.
But I didn't have people telling me that like, you can do this, you can do that. It was more like just go to school, get good grades, and see where life takes you. Like you're getting fed, aren't you? You got a roof over your head, don't you? So it's always that, But I wish my parents were at a stable situation where they were able to take care of me together. Like they didn't have to be together, but as long as they were there, even if they were separate, if they were there. But because I met my father till I was like 13, so either 12 or 13, one of the two. But so it was just like, I didn't have a father all those 12 years, and I kind of had to like figure out like, let me go into this sport. Let me see if I'm good at this, or let me try this out. So it was like I was put in a box, kind of like no one really told me you can draw this, you can be this, you can be that. I kind of was just like, oh, let me try it out and see where it takes me, and things like that. So, yeah.
So is, just to close out, what would you want your message just to the Kenosha community to be would that be part of that message?
Yeah, I think that'd be part of it. Like just pay attention to your children. See what they really like. Just pay attention to see what because you're born with a lot of skills. You're born with so many gifts that if you don't pay attention to that with your kids, like you could be missing out on something important about your children. So I would say, like, always be there. Make sure your kids are kind, because I remember getting bullied a lot. I know it's still going on, but man, make sure you teach your kids. I mean, we all have problems. Things can happen. However you teach your kid, that's how you teach your kid. Not tell nobody how to, teach their kids what to do, or whatnot. I just make sure everyone is kind. This racism stuff needs to stop. Literally, it just don't make sense, especially here in Kenosha. This is a small town. Like, we all need to be in this together. So, and just support, any business, any small businesses around here. Just make sure that you give back. If you made it out of here, give back. So that's my message for the people.
So, thank you so much for sitting down with us. It's been great having you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thanks to Brandon Morris as well. Like, I love that guy. You know what I'm saying? I love Kenosha. And thanks, bro. I appreciate you.
It's no problem.